Hello and welcome to the 9th tutorial on how to make a game in XNA. And in this tutorial, unfortunately, I recorded it and it didn't record the audio, so I'm doing a voiceover. So, in this tutorial, I believe we're going over collisions. So, I think we just went over shooting bullets. So I'm going to add an existing item. I think I'm going to go ahead and add, let's see, a wall. Yeah, I'm going to add a wall sprite and start by making a wall class. So I've got my wall sprite. Okay. Oh, actually there's something we have to do in the object class. I think we have to make a collision method and add a boolean and call it solid, or rectangle and call it area. And then later I believe we have to create a boolean called solid. And what this boolean will keep track of is basically, is this thing solid? Basically, can anything pass through it, or is it solid and it won't let things pass through it? So that's what that boolean is for. And by default we're just going to set it to equal false. And the area is just basically a mask, or a collision mask for the class. And I'm just going to declare this area in the load content method, new rectangle, put its x and y to 0, and that's basically the top left corner, and the sprite width, and the width and height is the sprite width and the sprite index height. So it's basically, it's just going to be a square surrounding the whole sprite, basically. That's the area. And I think in this recording I forgot to keep updating it. I think we might be doing that in the next tutorial, I'm not sure. But here I'm creating my wall class. It's going to extend our object class, and then I'm just going to copy the constructor from our bullet class and then just name it wall. There we go. Okay, so just change the sprite name to wall, which is our sprite name for this sprite we want our wall to be. And we're going to copy all the XNA stuff, just paste it in there. Okay, so next thing. I don't think we actually need any other methods in this wall class, so let's go to our man class. Actually, our items class. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some walls to our game. So object list.add new wall, new vector2, and just set it to some random position. Okay. For some reason, okay, so I'm going to set the position to 100 by 100. So, okay, just copy that and make a couple walls. Actually, I think that's one too many. And since the sprite width and height of these walls is 32 pixels, I'm just going to offset each by 32 to make a big long wall on the x-axis. Okay, that looks good. So actually, let's see. So we got our line of walls. Okay. So now let's go and test it. So as you can see, we have our walls, they show up, except our bullets can go through them and we can go through them. So they don't actually do anything. They're completely aesthetic as of now. So let's go ahead and not make it that, and make them actual walls. instead of just useless sprites. So the first thing is we have to add a collision method to our object class, and what this will do is basically return a Boolean value depending on if it's colliding with something or not. So what we'll do is this method will take in an offset variable, and what else? Oh yeah, and an object variable. So I'm going to tell you the reasons for both. The reason for the offset variable, which is just going to be a vector2, is when we're moving, we want to predict where we're going to move. Since we know our speed and know our direction, we can predict where we're going to move. So we can predict a collision of where we're going to move. So that's exactly what we're going to try to do here. We're going to try to determine if we're going to collide in the future, and if so, we're just going to stop. And the reason we're passing in object for a variable, I'm not doing it right now, but later I will, is because we have to specify what type of object we want to check for collision. Is it a wall? Is it a person? Is it a bullet? What do we want to check it's colliding with? So here I'm just going to put an object argument or object variable as one of the parameters or arguments, and then I'm going to create a for each loop like I just did that loops through all the items in the object list, and this will basically just check, is it colliding with anything in this list? And actually I'm going to try something here that will not work. What I'm trying here is to make it so you don't have to put that argument there, but I can't do that. It's giving me an error, so I'm just not going to do it right now. Okay, so there are a couple things that went wrong with this method in this tutorials, and I did fix in the last tutorial, so be sure to watch the next tutorial and everything will make sense. So right now I'm saying if o dot get type equals object dot get type. What that basically means or saying is the type of class we passed in, or type of object we passed in, the same as the object it's currently looking at in the object list. And yeah, right there I forgot to put in the little parentheses. Not a big deal. Okay, so now let's get into another if statement. So if o dot area dot, I think it's intersects. Yeah, intersects. Yeah, there's a method called intersects, and then we're gonna put a rectangle value in there, and just gonna say area. So right now I'm making this and designing this, so it's actually not, the offset is not going to do anything. So in the next tutorial I'm going to program it so it actually the offset actually does matter, because right now we're checking if the current area of that object is intersecting with that other object we're looping through. And basically if it intersects, we're just going to return true, and else we're going to return false, and we don't need those extra brackets, so I'm just going to take them away. So in the next tutorial I'm actually, instead of this dot area, I'm going to make a new variable called new area, and it's going to make a new rectangle based on the offset and the current area, and it's going to check for the intersection of that rectangle. So I'm actually going to finish up this tutorial pretty soon. This is actually one of the longer tutorials. Okay, so now I'm just going to put another thing in all our walking if statements, our keyboard if statements. So I'm just going to say and then put an exclamation mark and collision. So it's saying the exclamation mark means not, so this basically says the opposite. So if it returns false, it's going to become true. If it returns true, it's going to become false. So I'm checking if the collision of a predicted of the next predicted spot is if there's no collision there, then it's going to allow you to move. Else it's just going to not let you go into that if statement. And I just put that thing in there to make it solid. But I actually put that in wrong. I put if it's and solid, and what I should have done was put O dot solid instead of just solid, because solid is the variable of the object that's currently calling the collision method. I want to find if the object that it's checking through the object list, if that's solid. So I'm actually going to fix all those things in the next tutorial, and yeah. This tutorial I made a lot of mistakes. So yeah, just going to fill out all these parameters. So as you can see, I put in my offset, and I wanted to check if it's colliding with a wall, so I put in a new wall. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it for the rest of the keyboard if statements, and change the offsets accordingly. So on the first one, the Y would be decreasing, so the offset of Y would be decreasing, and then for example the X in that situation is increasing, so I made the offset increasing in X. So yeah, so just change them accordingly. So as you can see, it doesn't work, and that's because I made a couple mistakes making the collision method. So actually I might fix them in this tutorial. Yeah, it might be happening. I'm not sure. Okay, what am I doing here? So, oh yeah, so here I'm updating the area to equal to position. So basically the area rectangle is just going to follow wherever the player is, because previously it was just on the top left corner, and we did not want that. So right now it's giving me an error because the rectangle X and Y are integers, and vector 2 X and Y's are floats, so I just have to convert them to integers. So I basically just make parentheses in front of the variable I want to convert, and then put the data type inside those parentheses. So I'm just subtracting the sprite. Oh, what am I doing? Well, I'm supposed to be subtracting the sprite index.width divided by 2. Width and or height, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, width for X and height for Y. The reason I'm doing this is because I want the area.x and y on the top left corner of the sprite, and right now it would be positioned right in the middle, and we don't want that. So that's why I'm subtracting it by the sprite width and sprite height divided by 2. So after this, it still shouldn't work, and I should fix everything in the next tutorial. So I think I might be debugging it again right now. But it seems like we're running out of time, so thank you for watching. I appreciate a rating, and see you in the next tutorial.